Hello YouTube, and welcome to Rob's Artcade. I'm your host Rob, and I've got a very special episode in store for all of my Player 2s. This episode is devoted entirely to Spongebob Squarepants. I'm going to teach you all how to draw Spongebob, and when we're done with that, we're going to take a trip down to the Classic Game Showcase where I show you all one of my favorite classic Spongebob video games. Now I know you all can't wait to get started, but first let's take a peek at what we're going to be drawing this episode. That's pretty cool, huh? Now I know that image seems very complicated to draw, but it's actually not that bad because we're going to break everything down into easy to draw simple shapes. Let's make sure everyone has their supplies ready first. We're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, an eraser, and a black felt tip pen or a black magic marker to ink over our finished drawing. Now if all my Player 2s have all their supplies ready, we can get started. Are you ready? Let's go. Now before we get started, I'm going to take a second to explain to all of my Player 2s how we're going to be drawing SpongeBob this episode. It's a three-step process. The first step is the guideline step. In this step, I'm going to be drawing with this red marker on this white dry erase board. When I draw in red, I want you to press very lightly with your pencils. I mean it very lightly, because we're going to have to go back in and we're going to erase these lines at a later step. The next step is the detail step. I'm going to be drawing in blue. In this step, we're going to trace over our guidelines, but also add more details. We're going to shape up the image at this step. And when we're done with that, third and final step, I'll be drawing in black. This is the finishing step. So in this step, I want you to take your black felt tip pen or black magic marker and ink over only the lines that we need. None of the guidelines. Because what's going to happen is that when the ink dries, we're going to take our erasers and we're going to erase all the pencil lines, and then we're going to have a finished drawing. Got it? Now let's get started. Okay, first step, we're going to be drawing a square. Underneath that square, we're going to be drawing a rectangle. Down the middle, very lightly with our pencils. Again, we're drawing in red, so this is very, very lightly. This is the guideline stage. This is going to split the image in half. So this way it's going to help us keep everything symmetrical. Symmetrical means even on both sides. Two rectangles underneath the second rectangle that we did. Now you can see right now, this is already shaping up to be SpongeBob. We have the upper body, and we have his square pants. Next step, two long rectangles for his legs. We're going to try to keep these even. If you need, very lightly, you can draw a guideline across here, and just make sure everything is even length. When we're done with that, an oval here, an oval here, circle around the same size as the oval, and another larger oval here. Okay, again, this is the guideline stage, but when we go back in this later on and ink over our finished product, we're going to color this in. This will be one shape, this will be his shoes. It was a very easy way of breaking his shoes down into just a couple little simple shapes. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to do his sleeves. So starting at about halfway on the first square that we did, we draw a curve and a line. Try to keep that even on the other side. Curve and a line. After that, we're going to draw another rectangle to about where his square pants legs are. Excuse me, that was too big. Same thing, a rectangle over here. Now one thing a lot of people have trouble drawing is hands. We're going to break this down into shapes and do this very, very easy. The first thing we're going to do, each side, circle. Try to keep it the same size, try to keep it even on both sides. Then after that, a rectangle a rectangle, rectangle, and then a smaller rectangle for the pinky. Thumb, index, middle, pinky. We just drew a hand. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Thumb, index, middle, pinky. Again, we're going to try to keep it even on both sides. So as you can see right now with all the guidelines, we pretty much have the shape of SpongeBob. We're going to start adding more details, but we're still going to draw in red because I want these details to be done very lightly, so just in case somebody makes a mistake along the way, you can easily erase it. We're going to clean it up a little bit more in the next step, but we're still pressing lightly. So the first thing we're going to do is, starting at about the middle, upper middle of his face, we're going to draw his nose, which is a curve. It goes around like that. Kind of like an upside down letter U. And when we're done with that, we're going to start at the bottom of this. We're going to draw two circles. We're going to make them touch in the middle. Try to keep them the same size. Those are his eyes. In the middle of the circles, we're going to draw two more smaller circles. 1, 2, 1. Get that a little bit too big. 1, 2. We're going to draw his cheeks. His cheeks go right on top of his eyes, so it's just letter C's. Frontward letter C, backwards letter C. Then we're going to follow it around here and do a little curve for his mouth with a couple small letter C's at the end. Again, a curve around here, C, backwards letter C. So this way we have his mouth, his cheeks, his nose, and his eyes. We're going to draw a U, right? Just going a little bit above where the square ends. Trying to make it even on both sides. It starts at the letter C, ends at the letter C. So we should have something that looks like this. Underneath that, we're going to do a little letter U. Again, if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause it. If it doesn't look right and you missed a step, just rewind it. You'll find out where you made a mistake. And it's okay to make mistakes. If your picture doesn't look exactly like mine, that's okay. We're learning here. Eyes, nose, cheeks, mouth. He's got his big old buck teeth. And we're going to draw a letter M inside of his mouth for his tongue. 3 eyelashes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then SpongeBob has a couple little sponge texture dots. So a circle here, and a circle there. Small circle here, larger circle there, large circle here, smaller circle there, and one circle there. Now we're going to draw his square pants. We're going to do a line right down the middle of that second shape we drew. Underneath his mouth, his jaw, draw a circle, a little half circle, and then a shape like this for his tie. So you're going to have your half circle, and then you're going to have your little shape for the tie. Then 2 triangles right there for his collar. And again, we'll try to make them even. His belt, you're going to go down a little bit. His belt has 3 spaces, so it's one line, one large line that goes right underneath where his tie goes, and then another one. Again, we'll try to make these as even as possible. And And then we'll just draw 4 lines for his socks. And there we have step 1 of Spongebob. This is the guideline step. So we have all our lightly drawn pencil drawings. We're going to take our pencils, but we're going to clean this up a little bit. We're going to go over the lines that we already have just a little darker. Remember, we're going to have to go back through and we're going to erase all the pencil lines when we're finished inking this. We're going to start in the middle of his face. So we'll start with his nose. Again, we'll just clean it up a little bit. If your shape's not exactly correct, this is the opportunity where you can fix it. Eyes. Cheeks. Again, the cheeks overlap the eyes a little bit. Eyeballs. Eyelashes. Then we have the little details that we have here. The little sponge dots, or whatever you want to call them. Cheeks. Teeth. Mouth. Tongue. Jaw. So we have all the details in his face done. Now, since we have our original guidelines of the first square that we drew, we're going to make this a little wavy. So just start at the bottom here, and just kind of make sure that it's a little wavy line so it's not a solid line. And then go around the whole image with the same thing. Again, we just did these very lightly as a guideline, so we're just going to stay on top of it. We're just going to make the line a little wavy. And go all the way over to the bottom. So we should have something that looks like this. Next step, I'm just going to go over the collar, the tie, the pants, the belt, his pants. Again, we have guidelines here that we're going to erase later on, so that line will not be here. So we're just going to go over here. Legs, this sock, and then we're just going to trace this over as one shape. We have a shoe. Same thing on the other leg. And there's the shoe. So we have face, head, square pants, shoes. This is probably the most difficult part of this whole image right now, is we're going to do his arms and his hands. So now we have our guidelines. All we really have to do is just follow our guidelines. We're going to trace over this here. Now with the hand, we're going to go over and we're just going to curve our little rectangles that we had. Follow our guidelines. A little curve at the top. Curve like this, and then go around. So when we go through, after we ink this and let the ink dry, we're going to erase these lines, and then you're going to have the shape of the finished hand. Same thing on the other side. Go over, curve here, curve here, curve here, and another curve here, follow it around right there. There's the other hand. Again, if I went too fast, pause it, rewind it. But I'm sure you guys get this. From what I've seen, from all the artwork my player twos have sent me, you guys are really, really good at this technique. And I'm very, very impressed. I can't wait to see your work after this one. So right now we have all the guidelines done for Spongebob. We're going to finish this up by taking our black felt tip pens or black magic markers and inking over our final work. I'm going to start in the middle of the face with his cheeks. He's got 2 dots at the top and then 1 below. 2 at the top and 1 below. Here's our little Little letter C. Follow that around. Here's the little letter C. Letter U. Big old buck teeth. His tongue. Here's his nose. His eyes. Eyelashes. Eyeballs. So there's his face. Next step I'm going to do, I'm going to do the jaw. And I'm going to follow this line, this wavy line that we did outside of the original box we first did. And his collar, his tie, his collar. Square pants. And his belt. Now we're trying to make everything the same size. We'll just follow our guidelines. Follow his leg. We're going to color in his shoe solid black. I'm just doing this very, very roughly just to give you an idea of what it'll look like. Same thing on the other side. Solid black. Over sleeves. And arms. I'm going to follow that second step guideline that we have here. I just follow the curved fingers. Same thing over here. Follow the curved fingers. And there you go. Here's SpongeBob. Take a look before, actually first give it a minute to let the ink dry. But before you start to erase those straight pencil lines, take a look and see if there's anything that we missed, anything we forgot to ink. I actually just caught something. We did not ink over his little sponge spots. So if you would have taken your eraser and started erasing, you would have erased the ink, or I'm sorry, the pencil lines that you've already done here. So it's a good idea to always double check your work before you actually start erasing the line out. So there's SpongeBob. This middle line will be gone after you erase everything. These guidelines will be gone. The hands will be cleaned up. And then you have a finished drawing. Now for those player 2s who took last episode's Mickey Mouse class, you'll notice that Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse were all circles. So we did all the circles, we combined all the circles to make a finished image. SpongeBob, Squarepants, was all rectangles and squares. So you can just take basic shapes and use them to make one completed image. So from what we're going to start doing from now on is we're going to combine those. So we're going to combine the squares, we're going to combine the circles. And since you guys have been doing such an amazing job with some of our previous classes, we're going to take things up a notch a little bit and start doing things that are a little bit more complicated. I have complete faith in you. All my player 2s are doing amazing work. Good job, guys. Awesome job, player 2s. I can't wait to see your finished pictures. Be sure to take a photo of you holding your finished picture and send it to me at the social media links listed in the description below so I can show all of YouTube how talented my player 2s are in the Player 2 Art Showcase. Now speaking of social media, let's take a second to check out all the bonuses that I have for my Patreon subscribers.
There have been numerous games based on SpongeBob over the years, but in my opinion, SpongeBob Squarepants' Creature from the Krusty Krab is the most fun. The plot of this game is just as silly as the TV show it's based on. You control SpongeBob, his best friend Patrick, and their enemy Plankton as they journey through 9 different worlds inside each of the characters' dreams. 4 different types of gameplay have been incorporated into this game: flying, racing, platforming, and rampaging. During flying sections, the game sets obstacles in the player's path which they must avoid. In the racing levels, which feature gameplay in the air as well as on the ground, fuel must be collected in order to keep the player's vehicle running. Platforming gameplay is spread throughout the game, such as Patrick, as his alter ego Starfish Man, must save Bikini Bottom from his evil form Dreaded Patrick, or when Plankton must escape from a condiment-hurling, living Krabby Patty. In the Rampage levels, the player controls a giant Plankton as he attempts to destroy everything in his path. The levels come off as a bunch of mini-games that are all tied together, and the variety of the levels makes this a blast to play. This game was also released for the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo GameCube, and the PlayStation 2. It was also ported over to Microsoft Windows under the title SpongeBob SquarePants Nighty Nightmare. Unfortunately, this game has not been re-released on current consoles, but since the game was released in 2006, it's possible to still find a copy if you look hard enough. I highly recommend this game. Now, if only I could get the SpongeBob theme song out of my head. Till next time.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Rob's Arcade. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to help this channel grow. Also be sure to follow Rob's Arcade in the social media links listed in the description below. Now, as far as the next episode goes, how about we take a trip back to the Mushroom Kingdom and draw some more characters from the Super Mario universe? That sound good? I figured all my player 2s would like that. Until then, keep drawing, and I'll see you next time.